Hi, I'm Nat.
And I'm Guy. Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible, and we thought we had a story about J-Lo, but I'm guessing not.
No. Usually he goes, gathers stories, and sometimes I just double check, or when I'm trying to get resources or articles, it comes out that like, oh no, it was just X going crazy about nothing.
Yeah, basically we needed somebody for the thumbnail. I thought I had a story on J-Lo because it kept feeding on X.
Yeah.
We researched it just before we came on air, and it wasn't the case.
Yeah.
The rumor was, do you want to say the rumor anyway?
That she was angry. I mean, she did come out last year, right before the elections, saying that the joke that happened at a Trump rally was insensitive to Puerto Ricans. Well, she can't even speak Spanish. But the rumor was that she now wanted to move to Puerto Rico to avoid Trump. But
which would have been crazy because Puerto Rico is actually a, what do you call it? Not a state of the United States, but a territory.
Territory.
It's a territory
Wow.
of the United States. So if she was going to move, she would probably want to move to a non-territory.
Yes.
But we confirmed it wasn't true.
But because she's from there, technically, she likes to make a whole big deal of it. And Rafa says, don't worry, thank you for your patience. And hello, Rafa. Thank you for being here. Because I put that we were having technical difficulties because producer guy decided to change the whole set once again.
Well, I've been building a set, so some of these pictures come falling down during the live stream. It's because they're temporarily up there until tomorrow. I had to see the height for the camera and stuff. Anyway.
And they keep falling off. So.
Let's get right into it then.
But I mean, one thing that did come out is that apparently there's an interview that's been resurfacing from J-Lo saying that she was afraid of Diddy in a resurfaced interview amid this whole trial that he's going through. I can't say the words. But so, yeah, maybe.
Well, I'm sure
since it's coming out, could she be coming in?
I'm sure she was scared of him. He had a ton of dirt on her. I don't want to go into the whole incident on YouTube, but she had an incident with a pew-pew at one of his studios. So I'm sure he had a lot of dirt on her, and the way he treated Cassie. I mean, the physical intimidation had to be another component of it. So having blackmail plus physical intimidation, do I feel sorry for her? No. She knows what she got herself into here, and she kind of springboarded her career off of the entire thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was it for J-Lo because apparently it wasn't true. It would have been very funny if it was, because her saying she wants to move to Puerto Rico would make no sense. Also because she doesn't speak Spanish, although she tries to pretend like she does.
Doesn't. I didn't know that.
She speaks a little bit, but like not as... She's not this, actual Puerto Rican that she pretends to be.
But her ex-husband from Mexico does. Is her ex-husband from Mexico?
No, he's Colombian, I thought.
Oh, he's Colombian. I didn't know that.
Mark Anthony?
Yeah, Mark Anthony.
I don't think he's Mexican.
Oh.
Because he does bachata, so that would be Colombia.
It's strange how she goes from Puff Daddy to Mark Anthony to Ben Affleck. They're all complete opposites.
Well, Ben Affleck was before.
Oh, no, Ben Affleck.
Between them, wasn't it?
She keeps going back to old Ben.
I know, and he looks like he's miserable, but now they're divorcing, I believe. Whatever.
But they both have trans kids, so they've always been interlinked.
Yeah, they'll always be
universally.
linked together. All right, we did a story about that.
Yeah.
So
I know way too much about the chisme because of the stories we do. Chisme is gossip in Spanish.
That's one of the words he knows. Where do you want to go next?
Let's just go. We'll go through what's it called? All the entertainment news. I covered a lot of this on my show, but we'll just cover it for the night show, and then we'll get into some new political issues and stuff.
Sure. So which one?
Let's just go in order here. Let's go into the last rodeo.
The trailer, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I played the full-length trailer of this movie called The Last Rodeo on my morning show. That's every day at 12 p.m. Central Time, except for tomorrow. I'll be going on at 2. We got to pick up a table for our equipment room.
Yes.
But this is by Angel Studios. Angel Studios is a fantastic studio. They're paid to promote them. We don't know anybody there, but they do good moral movies with good foundations and things like this. They did The Sound of Freedom, which was about trafficking and things like that, and it made a huge impact in the political scene, not just in Mexico, but in the United States as well. I've been keeping up on Angel Films since that, and they've done just solid movies. When I seen this, it really connected to me because I can identify with the main character quite a bit. But let me get my headphones and we'll check it out. Do you have anything about the thing before we start?
No. Not really.
I feel like you're falling asleep on your stream.
It's not my kind of movie, but hopefully.
Cowboys and Bull Riders, what's wrong with that?
I hope it works.
Yeah. Sounds working, so.
Do you remember everything that you put all of us through the last time you rode? You will not get on that bull.
Well, then what are we going to do about Cody?
I'm gonna be okay, Mom.
$750,000 for first place. You got a better idea, I'm all ears.
We've got some incredible news. The rodeo legend's going to compete for the
Okay,
first
pause it
time.
for a minute. I don't want to get
Copyright strike.
copyright striked, but the extended trailer looked much better.
Yes.
Because it kind of set it up, leaned you in. Now it's kind of like, it's a little confusing. I'm glad I watched the full length one first.
Yes. You can go to Angel Studios' website, YouTube channel, and check it out there. I'll probably link it down below as well.
Yeah, I mean, this one isn't bad, but you don't really get the concept of the storyline in this short trailer. I'm already a little lost if I hadn't watched the full one. But let's keep playing it.
Years.
Give me the green light. Joe Wainwright. Three-time world champ. Rides again.
This is going to be big.
This ain't the senior circuit.
Good luck. You're going to need it.
Joe Wainwright competing at over 50 years younger.
I'm grandfathered in, right?
Well, you right about that granddad part. Oh, his grandson's sick, and he's got to earn money. That's why he's here. You gotta focus, Joe.
In my seat, I only ask once. That went well.
Yeah, very. Be patient.
Oh, there's a little bit more. Well, why don't we just finish it up?
Whether she loves you fiercely.
Can Joe Wainwright keep up?
I'm fine.
Of course you are.
That's a genuine, true legend right there.
Here we go.
True legend there. It's as it picked up and went on. I still like it. I'm gonna watch it. Now you have to realize these aren't extremely high budget movies. They're more independent movies. There is still a decent budget in it, so you can make it at least halfway decent. It's script heavy in the fact that they have actual morals and values in their movies is primarily why I like to support them, and it just looks like a good movie overall.
And also, people are always asking me, specifically on the Spanish channel, but like why I criticize so much everything, and if there's anything I like. And I think, for example, if they we said we like Lilo and Stitch, and that I like Mission Impossible, that I like The Substance, stuff like that. But with recent movies, it is hard to see masculinity represented at least a little bit in the grit and perseverance and like non-toxic way, because every time it's either a super feminized hero or where their masculinity is toxic and has gotten them in trouble. So, I mean, it is nice to see movies that are directed more towards actual men who are interested in those kinds of things.
Yeah, I'll completely agree. I know we have quite a big international audience because a lot of our audience comes over from Nat and the Guy Espanol, our other channel. This won't be debuting internationally. It's just U.S. distribution, but Angel Studios usually has it for streaming on their website whenever it goes up. So that's how we're going to watch it as well.
Probably.
Because we live in Mexico City.
Yes. So we'll continue to talk about that. But yes, Guy wanted to recommend it.
Okay, let's go into, and I seen that because I was looking up the numbers for Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible for the weekend. They should be completed tomorrow because it was Memorial Day, and that actually counts towards the weekend box office, so it's an extended weekend. Why don't you just go into the article, but we'll have the final numbers. I'll probably talk about it a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, because it's interesting, like culturally, what's going on.
There's a shift happening.
Yeah, so Summerbound for $4.2 billion after a record $326 million plus Memorial Day weekend. So in the U.S. right now, it's a holiday. Lilo and Stitch dances to $183 million, holiday high. Mission Impossible, $77 million plus. So yes, those are the numbers. I mean, there's a Monday update here saying Memorial Day forecasts given. Wait, but I need to show what I'm reading. Given the long holiday jump around, however, Lilo and Stitch is staying at the $183 million that the studio reported Sunday morning. I mean, Disney does like to flub its numbers, but while Paramount's Tom Cruise supposed final MI Mission Impossible movie is a tad higher at 77.5.
Well, it's interesting. I really like Lilo and Stitch a lot more than Mission Impossible. It really tugged on the heartstrings, and I I was surprised I liked it so much, and I was surprised that I didn't like Mission Impossible. So the opposite of what I thought would happen happened when we went to watch those two movies. Also, on just our reviews online, didn't get a lot of foot traction when it came to Mission Impossible at all.
No, like nobody cared about it.
But internationally, that movie is doing good. I think our next story is going to go into that, so we'll save that point. But
it is interesting that, I mean, these two movies kind of do show that cultural shift. And even Final Destination is like third right now. And also the one about the zombie people. What was that called?
Sinners. Man, I want to watch Sinners.
That one as well. So like all of those are at least slightly less politically charged than we are used to. At least maybe those of us that are hyper attuned to seeing like woke stuff or like ideology inserted everywhere. And all of those 4 have a bit like less of it at least.
Well, 5.
Which other one?
We just watched it. The Last Rodeo was in top 5, I believe.
Oh, so it's already released.
Yeah, it's already released in the States. So the fact that it's making quite a big box office for such a small budget movie is pretty impressive. And the fact that it's a super masculine movie.
And I think it's going to remind people, and I mean, we do know that Yellowstone had a huge audience until they decided to do that activist storyline, and then they ruined the whole thing. But that's when I stopped watching it, when that woman came in and was trying to do the environmental stuff. But, I mean, people will go watch anything that has to do with cowboys, men, rodeos.
If it's done well, and it looked like that was done well. That being said, 77 million was a lot less that Lilo and Stitch made, which is going to be estimated after the weekend, after tonight, 420 million most likely. Also, it's talking about Thunderbolts. I know Rafa watched Thunderbolts, but
and he keeps trying to get us to watch it.
Thunderbolts looks like it's not going to reach the 400 million mark because Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible are completely taking over those theaters now. Yep. So it's just going to fall shy of making its money back. But that doesn't include the promotional budget, so it's going to have lost a ton of money. If you don't know, the promotional budget is usually, if a movie costs $400 million to make, it's a $400 million promotional budget, so they double the cost.
And usually it's not reported. Like, they're not obligated to report on how much their marketing and promotional budget was. Rafa says, fun fact, I can do Stitch's Spanish voice. I haven't watched it. I watched the original one in Spanish, but not this most recent one, because I went with the man that can't speak Spanish. Maybe eventually I will watch it, because I do want to see what it's like in Spanish, since I talk about stuff in Spanish
we
as well.
We got an 85-inch TV for a background. We can use that to stream movies as well.
But I like to get popcorn. Half of the reason why I go to the theater is to go get popcorn.
We
live
have 4 theaters right here.
We live pretty close to some theaters, so I mean,
and
I
there's
can.
popcorn vendors on the side of the thing that look extremely popular.
Sure. But I was saying something and you made me forget about it.
Well,
okay.
It must not have been important.
It was important.
Okay, well, let's go into the next.
Men.
Do you want to go into the next story, or it's related to that one?
Eventually, I'll remember. So Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible apparently continues to be big in Korea, and I'm surprised that Lilo and Stitch debuts in second, because usually Korea is they like cartoons a lot, and they usually. Oh, I was going to talk about Disney, about Thunderbolts. So apparently now that with the whole Pedro Pascal thing, apparently I've made a bunch of people angry, or a bunch of supporters of Pascal's found my video in Spanish that I released today and started yelling at me in the comments. So I started yelling at them back.
Yeah, you were going hard. I was telling you, get the stories for the night show. She's like, no, I'm commenting.
I have to reply to at least some of them. The ones that call me trans, space phobic, I mean, sure, you can think whatever you want.
It's better to be transphobic than trans, I guess.
You can't say that on YouTube.
Oh, you can't?
No, that's why it says trans, space phobic.
But I just said it's better.
I know.
Okay, let's continue.
What was I saying now? See, you keep messing me up with what I'm saying.
You keep forgetting important things. Anyway.
Oh, Thunderbolts. So apparently, there's a thing with Disney. It was reported by WDW Pro today, I believe. So they're this channel that talk about Disney and entertainment. And because of the poor performance of Thunderbolts, and also seeing what Pedro Pascal has been doing lately, they're starting to get a little bit worried. And there's rumors not only that they're reshooting. I hate that view. Not only that they're reshooting a lot of stuff for Fantastic Four right now, like 7 weeks before they're supposed to release it, but also that they're starting to look for another main leading man for the whole Avengers thing, because they're starting to try to shy away from him because they're seeing the reaction of people to him now that he's gotten bigger.
I didn't talk about the rumor, but it was supposed to be the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. And now I heard they may be going away
Chris
from
Pratt?
that. Chris Pratt, yeah.
Maybe.
So his rumor, his
I mean,
name,
he would be the only guy that they could use right now because Downey Jr. too old, and now he's the villain. Who else within the new Avengers could they cast as this like masculine?
Yeah, but it's hard for Chris
heroic
Pratt
figure?
because he doesn't really have a bunch of superpowers. But I guess that then the
has no
main character is very vulnerable.
Yeah, but Iron Man had no superpowers. He built a suit. He was a normal
but
human
it's
being.
different.
How is it different?
Because he
has
got
a
hurt.
spaceship. And he's the son.
Oh no, he has a spaceship.
Wait, no, but he's the son. He was the son of this other. The last ones I didn't really watch.
But it could work because he is vulnerable to getting hurt. He'll really have to rely on everybody else, and it could have an average man story arc.
But they wanted to do Pedro Pascal as the like main hero of the Avengers, and now they're rethinking it.
It was more than just
of
the
Avengers,
Avengers.
Doomsday, and the other one. Yeah.
They were trying to hype him up as the next star, and then roll him out in a bunch of regular movies as well. But that's not going to happen.
That's what they've done. He's in everything. I keep saying that.
He's supposed to
Since
do.
Game of Thrones, he's like.
He's supposed to do 3 Disney movies, and then from there, they thought he would be a mega superstar from there, and then cannonballed him
Like
in.
Downey Jr. Yeah.
But it's not going to happen now.
No,
I don't think so. I think that
especially knowing that they're doing reshoots now for a movie they're supposed to release in 7 weeks in July. So
Yeah,
I mean, the people that come and try to defend him and say, oh, like the producers don't care about that. He can say whatever he wants. He can have his own opinions about whatever he wants. Yes, he has freedom of speech. I completely agree. I defend his freedom of speech. But at the same time, if he wants to make money for these for Hollywood and for everybody that's paying him money to only go talk about the movies instead of his political positions, then he might want to shut his mouth. Like Rachel Zegler, because we have that example. We have the example of Rachel Zegler, of Hailey Bailey, of other artists that have actors that have come out and like opened their mouths saying political stuff. And now that the climate is changing, it's not recommendable for them. That's all I was saying.
Well, also back to this Lilo and Stitch, I just want to make the one point that it's very surprising it didn't surpass Mission Impossible, because Mission Impossible actually came out a week early in Korea. So this is the second week, and it still beat the heavy hitter of Lilo and Stitch.
I mean, maybe, but all the women in Korea are maybe kind of tired of their own 4B movement, where they were going to deny, having a boyfriend or having relationships or doing anything with men, dressing ugly. That's where that whole movement started, the 4B movement in Korea. Maybe now they're sick and tired of it, sick and tired of being feminists and are looking for real men and real manly representation in film. Also because Korea has, it's a very feminized society, in my opinion, except for certain things. But in my opinion, K-pop is essentially lesbians dancing around. Men that look like
K-poppers, because when we lived in Vancouver, oh my God.
I had a lot of students that were from Korea that were completely obsessed, and also not just Koreans, everybody.
We lived across from the art gallery, and all the K-pop dancers from all of Vancouver, that's where their practice was.
Students.
Upstairs, downstairs, on the ice rink, in the main courtyard.
Yeah, K-pop is big.
It would be like 100 people every day.
And usually, like,
K-popping.
creators are always like really cautious of talking about K-pop, because as soon as you mention anybody from K-pop, you get like the hordes of people coming to hate on you. But I don't care. I don't like it.
We should do a video about
And
K-pop just to see how it does.
And I tolerated all my students dancing and doing K-pop stuff for like 2 years. So no, I don't care.
Okay,
I don't like it.
let's go into Final Destination's Bloodline, and this was interesting. This is kind of why I put it in here.
The irony.
Huh?
The irony.
The irony of
Like
it, yeah.
Alanis Morissette. Argentine movie theater ceiling collapses during Final Destination Bloodline screening. As of right now, apparently nobody was like seriously hurt, and apparently it was just like a bit of ceiling bits coming down, and not like the whole ceiling.
But for any other movie, I don't think it would have been a big deal. But going to Final Destination's Bloodline, where people die in unique ways.
Pass away.
And imagine if somebody would have passed away at Final Destination Bloodline.
I mean, that would have been sad.
Yeah.
But very ironic.
Very ironic, yeah.
And maybe a forewarning or premonition. Maybe that would have stopped sales for the movie.
No, it would have boosted them.
No, because people would be like, oh, if I go, I might actually pass away too.
No.
But so yes, it happened in Cinema Ocho in La Plata, capital of Argentina's Buenos Aires, according to InfoBay, which I don't love that news source, but doesn't seem like anybody was seriously injured, only the irony was surprising.
Okay, let's get into the politics now. Just because we covered most of this.
Let me see if there's comments. Jessica Ramirez just laughing. So.
Oh, what did she say? Because I couldn't understand what you were saying.
Well, I was saying
and I
that,
seen her comment.
like
and then
why we always remember, because she comments a lot as well, like Rafa and Walker. But
Yeah.
I was saying like the one moment that made us both like really remember her was when I had no audio.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was saying, I can't hear, but he can't understand. No se escucha. Like he has no idea what that means. Until Jessica Ramirez said something like no audio or something, no hay audio, something like that. And he was like, oh, audio. And then he pressed it. But so that's why we always remember Jessica Ramirez. So thank you so much for helping us with that stream. That was a while ago, but
Oh, yeah. But I always remembered.
yes.
Because like when you're first starting to stream and you're doing the audio and everything,
Yeah.
it's very stressful. So when somebody saves your
'Cause when
ass,
you're-
you
yeah.
tend to remember them.
Especially as a producer,
Yeah.
the blonde producer.
And I always remember Rafa because he gives great comments. Like, oh, that was the comment that he had for Bloodlines was, oh, the theaters are really going 4D.
Yes. The 4DX effects are really getting better and better. So yes, we had to credit Rafa for that one. But I was going to say something. Oh, Korea.
Back to that?
Well, because I think that's what Jessica Ramirez was laughing
Oh,
about.
okay.
She didn't say, but I'm guessing. But yes, one day I will talk about the overt feminization of Korean and Japanese men and the lowering levels of testosterone, also the lowering birth rates, and the connection between their media, including anime. If there's any anime fans here, I don't care.
Well,
I don't like
maybe
it.
I'm turning Asian. I'm getting older. My testosterone's starting to go down.
No, I'll inject testosterone on you before you go K-pop route. But yes, I do find it interesting. But I do love Korean food. I do watch, for example.
Oh, you love Korean
I
food,
love
and I
Korean
hate
food.
it. 'Cause
I
I
love
hate
it.
pickled stuff.
Yeah, he hates pickled stuff and like super spicy stuff. And I love Korean fried chicken, Korean
Everything.
everything. Yeah, tteokbokki, yangnam. Like because we lived in Vancouver for so long, there were a lot of good Korean places. And also, I love.
I don't know because I wouldn't.
For example, I love the Korean Englishman, the YouTube channel. I love him. I love Jolly. That's their other channel. So I don't hate Korea. I just don't like K-pop.
Okay, let's continue on
Yes.
to CBC. And I don't know this story. I just know the guy that.
And I found an article for it.
Okay, just the guy got the video for it. He's an amazing source. He refuses to take any money from YouTube or anything else, and his channel is extremely big. He just wants to expose the government. I seen the headline, and I kind of wanted to listen to the story. I got this while you were on air with your last show.
So the CBC is a Canadian broadcasting company. It is mostly subsidized by the Canadian government and is at the will and mercy of the Canadian government.
The Canadian
but
government.
it's the main news source in
The
Canada.
Canadian government is currently trying to lean in hard to Facebook, Google, and ban content creators they don't like. They're really amping up censorship and things like that. So let's just hear what's going on here.
Unbelievable. CBC just shut down the top political YouTube channel. In 27 days in April, they had 70 million views, more than CBC. And the reason? Well, let me show you. CBC Canada state-funded media just got YouTube to terminate my channel, not for breaking rules, but for having the wrong political views. CBC couldn't compete with the content, so they tried to erase it. This is censorship in Canada. I didn't break any rules, no strikes, no deception, just political commentary. And yet, YouTube terminated the entire channel shortly after CBC reached out with the hit piece questions. Here's what's wild. I was pulling in more views than CBC, which really bothered them. They clearly don't understand how YouTube works, with most of the audience outside of Canada. But CBC, desperate for relevance, couldn't stand that. So what did they do? They contacted YouTube, and not long after the channel vanished. No real explanation, no public process, just gone like it never existed. CBC and YouTube clearly don't understand how the internet works. They think that they can silence people with opposing views, but all they've done is expose their own fear and their willingness to crush speech they don't like. When state media and big tech team up to silence a creator just because of political ideology, it's not just censorship, it's tyranny with a smile.
Okay.
We're at
this
a minute in.
Okay.
But, and this is the article I was going to go into after. So this
Okay.
is what the CBC says. Always good to get both sides of the story.
and this could backfire on them, and I'll give
yes.
my opinion in a minute, but yeah.
So what the CBC says is this Canadian content farm topped the politics charts on YouTube before it was taken down. They don't say by them, but account was most viewed the account was most viewed Canada-based news and politics channel during the federal election, and they didn't like it.
Yeah, so what could happen here, because this was such a big political channel in Canada as well,
Yeah.
it's actually Americans that own YouTube and Rumble and all these other companies. And what's going on with the Alberta separatist movement, I think the United States is going to see the long-term vision there, and they're going to really want independent voices in Canada.
Oh,
so I
boy.
think the American government may quietly pressure YouTube to put this channel back on the air. Because I
Maybe.
noticed Canadian content creators during the election blew up to such an extreme. I don't think it was to do with the election. I think it's more to do with the Alberta separatist movement.
Because,
which
I mean, here they're saying
support.
it was a content farm. It wasn't. I know this channel. But, for example, the tagline is, when you can't trust mainstream media, it's hard to know who to believe. And it says a YouTube account that was the most popular Canada-based news and politics channel during much of the 2025 federal election has been taken down by YouTube following inquiries from the CBC News' visual investigators team and Radio Canada's Décrypteur. Real Talk Politics regularly published confrontational partisan video clips, like you do, about politics that have been watched by millions of people.
Well, and let's talk about, a lot of people watching the show might not know what happened in Canada. Google and the Canadian government pressured Google and Facebook and said, you have to pay us a stipend of $100 million. It was set at a different price, but I believe on the low end it was $100 million.
For any time.
No, to just in general, every year they would have to pay that in order to support Canadian media.
Yes.
So, but both Google and Facebook said no, and then they stopped linking Canadian media. So Canadian media ended up backing down a couple of years
But
later.
the link stuff was because they passed a bill saying that any website that would link to a Canadian news source had to pay the Canadian government and the Canadian government radio telecommunications office, whatever.
An annual fee.
Yes, not an annual fee. Every time that link was clicked, they had to pay, like Facebook would have to pay the Canadian government. When usually for ads and stuff, like you want things to be linked to go to your content. You don't ask to pay. It made no sense, essentially.
Anyway,
and a lot of content creators came out against it, but they still did it for a little bit.
Yeah, it backfired. Then they wanted the annual stipend after that.
Yes.
So they tried it a different way. That failed again. Big media just stood up to them. But now it looks like they are kind of working with the Canadian government and CBC to throttle independent content creators.
Very clearly. And it's interesting that, YouTube is, listening to the CBC, but
And the next story
they say it's just one example of what experts refer to as content or engagement farming phenomenon, in which individuals or organizations tailor their content to tap into the algorithm of the platform and boost their popularity. No, his kinds of videos that essentially go against the narrative, especially last year. It's been changing lately, but since last year, last year that wasn't. They wouldn't show up because of the algorithm.
Okay, and then let's go into the next story here. It's kind of related, so because it deals with media as well. It's the U.S. media company buying.
Yeah, so it's from the BBC, the Daily Telegraph, which is a UK newspaper, to be sold to U.S. firm Redbird.
Okay, and this is big because it goes with the story I was going to talk about later. You don't have to bring it up right now. I'll just mention it. And it's Donald Trump is sending an envoy over to the UK right now to talk about free speech in their media. There's major censorship. J.D. Vance has talked about it. Trump has talked about it, specifically about the UK and how they're arresting people for memes, how they're throttling free speech outlets, things like this. And now that an American investment firm is buying up international media companies and Trump's going to be talking free speech, I would be very interested to see what happens politically with speech over there over the next couple of years.
Yes. Sorry, I lost the button. Yes, so Redbird Capital will buy the stake owned by Emirati royal Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed, so I can't say it, who had bankrolled an earlier bid, so he got outbid by Redbird. Which is interesting. That's American.
Well, and I mainly just put this story in to bring up the Trump issue, that he is sending an envoy over there, and they are starting to put pressure with the UK about free speech, which they should have done a long time ago, but he's only been in office for about 100 days now.
It's funny that Rafa commented, I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think he used to sing that song to me. That's why I thought that was really
And everybody
funny.
is kung fu fighting.
Yeah, that one too. It's just funny, the reference.
Okay, let's go into what do we got now?
That's what I'm looking.
Well, Oh, I'm just going to mention it real quick because I may have caused a little bit of panic last week.
Yes.
I've been talking a lot about the bond market because I've been researching it for about 12 months. That situation was coming to a head. There is a great podcast called Guns, Goats, and Gold. You have to type it into Google and the website will come up, and it's all of the podcasts are listed in order. So Gun, Goats, and Gold, episode 213. They really go into the economics of the United States, the Trump administration, the bond market, how they were able to kind of resist the attacks that have occurred on the United States bond market over the last few weeks and months. So I would still expect to watch the bond market, especially for the EU, the UK, and Japan. But every time the American bond market is attacked through these other countries, their immunity to it becomes higher and higher, and it becomes harder and harder to attack the American bond market. It seems like Trump may have secured it. So, sorry if I caused any panic, but it looks like hopefully the worst is behind him. But I would definitely still keep an eye on it, because if there isn't a vector of attack, it is through the bond market. I just wanted to mention that real quick because I was talking about it a lot last week, because it was a big economic factor that a lot of people wouldn't have understood.
Yes.
Okay, let's go into the number of, how would you say that? Why don't you put it on the screen so the people can see?
Because I was looking for other stories. So in briefing to Minister, RCMP, which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which is the federal police of Canada, yes, sometimes they ride on horses, mostly on cars, warns a 488% jump in terror, terrorism charges.
Yeah, and this is a huge jump. Mm-hmm. And why
but
is
not
this,
surprising.
But if you map out the immigration for the last few years in Canada,
yes,
it's jumped from here to here.
Basically the same exact amount that
it's gone through the roof. Yeah. I mean, the immigration is surged by over 1,000%, I believe. So the fact that you're getting 488%. I also said in my afternoon show, when I used to live in Canada, I was on a basketball team with some young people, and quite a few of those people went to go train with ISIS later on. I left Canada, and then I moved back when I was older. And I seen some of the people I was on the basketball team with, and I was asking them about, what happened to this guy? What happened to that guy? Oh, he went back to Afghanistan and trained with ISIS, and he's a fighter over there now. So it is pretty common within Canada because they have so many roots to their heritage back home, and they don't necessarily adopt, what would you say?
Rule of law?
No, the Canadian...
they don't integrate.
They don't integrate, yeah. That's what I was looking for. Okay, do you have anything else to say, or are you going to continue to play on the computer there?
I'm not playing on the computer. I'm trying to gather more stories because I didn't have finish.
Because
I'm trying to finish
because you were rage typing to people that were in your comments.
Because I only have 15 minutes between my show and this show to gather everything.
And you were talking to the Meghan Markle people about what.
No,
stop
I was talking
me.
about Pedro Pascal.
Oh, Pedro Pascal haters.
Yes. So I'll just quickly read what the RCMP said. The number of...
There it goes. I knew that would happen. Okay. Oh, why don't we show the people?
What?
There used to be two pictures there. I temporarily hung both of them. The one fell down. So I'll have to permanently hang it after the show. Okay.
Can I keep reading?
Yeah.
The number
that was the noise.
Terror, terrorism charges laid in Canada jumped 488% last year amid rising youth radicalization, the RCMP wrote to the Public Safety Minister. The RCMP's ministerial briefing binder posted on a government website this week said violent extremism remained a prominent national security threat. They already said this last year. Canadian police have foiled 6 terror terrorist plots in the last 12 months alone, with arrests spanning from Edmonton to Ottawa to Toronto. The briefing said between April 1st, 23 and March 31st, 24, 25 suspects were accused of 83 related charges, representing a 488% increase. 3 minors and 6 young adults were among those charged, and another 8 youths faced the same peace bonds, signaling a rise in youth radicalization. And one thing I will say is that, surprisingly, not just in Canada, but in the UK, when they have done studies related to these kinds of charges and things, radicalization usually happens with second-generation people more than with
first generation.
Also first generation, but like the youth and the children of immigrants that have not been helped to integrate even or asked to integrate into the country are the ones that end up getting even more radical.
Yeah. Okay, because I had put that story together with like 3 others, so I'm just gonna read the headlines because we got quite a few stories, and we will be running out of time because I want to cover the news stories. Okay. So the headlines were, and this was all across the EU. So Canada and the EU are having a lot of the same problems. I would say the EU is even having more problems, and it's really coming to a head. People are starting to revolt in a lot of different ways, and there is a lot of radical incidents happening there. So in Germany, there is 18 people involved with a knife incident. 6 seriously injured. In Switzerland, currently looks like a war zone. Radical Palestinians are taking to the streets with bombings and everything else. Insane amount. We did a story on it a while ago. I can't remember if it was 1 a day. That was I don't want to say 1 a day, but I think that was the number, which is crazy. And then also people in the UK flooded to the city center opposing and wanting a referendum for a new prime minister. They want Keir Starmer out of there. He's trying to say he's against immigration now when he's been for it for over a decade.
Yeah.
And people are just fed up. They are starting to take to the streets. And this is why the EU really wants to escalate the war with Russia right now. We're going to get into that next, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we get into the Russian story?
Oh, first I'll read Rafa. Rafa says, things are falling since the morning. You sure you don't have ghosts or worse, earthquakes? No earthquakes that we know of, just an idiot producer that keeps trying to hang stuff up with Scotch tape.
No.
And thinking that Scotch tape is going to be able to support the weight. The same thing fell in the morning. It was the exact same thing.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. Okay, so let's go to your 2 shots so they can see. So the little forest picture behind her, there was a moon above that. I originally just had the moon above her.
And then it fell.
It was temporary in the morning because I needed to know the height.
And then it fell.
And then it fell in the morning. But then I had it permanently mounted. And
no, you didn't. It's not permanent.
Hold on. I had it permanently mounted for your Spanish show.
Okay.
And it was working out great, but it wasn't. I needed a second picture there so it would look more full because it's kind of empty. So between shows, I took it off and I couldn't put the permanent tape on there again because it takes a little while to cut it and everything. So
then it fell.
It fell again, but only because
you put it up with Scotch tape.
But it was temporary. It was time sensitive.
Yeah, but now it fell, and it was
you don't build all the sets, and the sets are beautiful. So I sound gay now.
Let us know in the comments if the sets are beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
Because usually, he does all the lighting, camera work, sets, and I do all the editing, writing, posting, and then we both do research. It's just us. We're each other's producers essentially.
And we kind of move things around because
he gets bored.
Not because I get bored.
Because he tries to improve things.
We have an equipment little storage space, and we're putting a table in there, so I had to move things around, and the TV is now on the other set.
Yes, which is why I don't have my nice background anymore.
We're boring the people now. Let's go back to the stories.
Sure. So keep going.
Okay, so let's bring up the Russian story if we can.
Okay, hold on.
And we'll put this into context because the Western media is completely blacking it out. They didn't do it on Saturday when it first happened. It was all over the Western media, but when you're trying to find stories now, they've completely erased this. They think this could be a tipping point to try to get Trump to re-engage in the war. So Putin's helicopter was targeted by drone strikes, and he was almost assassinated. Sorry for using the word. The rumor was there was 100 drones sent after his personal helicopter when he did enter one of the former districts of the Ukraine. They were able to fend it off, but I guess it got extremely close to getting rid of him. If that would have happened to Trump or a UK leader, it would have been game on.
Yes.
So that's why now Putin is launching massive strikes, and he's amounting a much bigger army than he was before this. So things are gonna really start to escalate here.
Says everyone is emotional, says Kremlin, after Trump calls Putin absolutely crazy. And apparently he has, Russia has started doing powerful aerial raids on Ukraine again. So they're raining down fire.
Why don't we read Trump's statement?
Okay, let me see.
And I had it in my notes.
I know, but then I have to go. Okay, then I have to go look for it.
Okay, and I don't know if Trump wasn't aware of what happened, but he had to be aware That's the thing. He's really trying to play both sides of the coin and withdraw from this and let them fight that regional battle out on their own, because the United States has been way too involved for way too long. The same with Israel. I don't know if he's going to pull out of Israel and stop funding them. Probably not. But I would like them to see them disengage from wars around the world and really focus on their own national defense.
Still looking for it.
It's in the notes.
No.
Yeah, it is under.
I know, but not the statement.
Okay, why don't? Yeah, it is.
Here, I found it.
It was statement. The whole full statement was in the notes.
I know, but I found the
Okay.
actual thing. So on Truth Social, Donald Trump said, I've always had a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin of Russia, but something has happened to him. He has gone absolutely crazy. He is needlessly ending a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about soldiers. Missiles and drones are being shot into cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever. I've always said that he wants all of Ukraine, not just a piece of it, and maybe that's proving to be right, but if he does, it will lead to the downfall of Russia. Likewise, President Zelensky is doing his country no favors by talking the way he does. Everything out of his mouth causes problems. I don't like it, and it better stop. This is a war that would have never started if I were president. This is Zelensky, Putin's, and Biden's war, not Trump's. I'm only helping to put out the big and ugly fires that have been started through gross incompetence and hatred.
Well, he wasn't able to end that war in a day like he said he would.
No.
But he just needs to pull out now, and they just need to let the two countries battle it out. Whoever wins, wins. The problem is the EU is...
There's too many interests.
The EU is banking on that to go to their digital currency, erase all their debt, and kind of cull their population. That's typically, historically, what the European countries have always done.
And also the fear-mongering about Russia.
Yeah,
I mean, it serves them to have it that way.
Right now, the two strongest economies in the world are Russia and the United States in completely different ways. Russia is completely disengaged from the rest of the world. They have an internalized economy, and then they trade with the global south. Even without the trade from the global south, they have a strong internalized economy, so it's really hard to put pressure on them. And if the sanctions are ever kind of loosened, that country will become an extremely powerful country. The United States is just powerful because every other country is on the verge of economic collapse. Mm-hmm. So, okay. I just wanted to kind of give an update on that, and it was very strange following that story throughout the weekend because stories started to disappear and new narratives started to reappear in their place, and nothing talked about the attempt on Putin's life, which kind of justified why there was more attacks in Ukraine. And you can see the European media really trying to engage this where, actually, I forgot the second half of the story.
Okay.
After this happened, so this just happened just before your show. I was getting the news, I almost forgot about it. The German chancellor said Ukraine now can use any weapons they want of any range. They had been limited to short-range missiles, so now they're going to get any range missiles they want that the European Union has. The German chancellor said the U.S. would also give them long-range missiles. I don't think the U.S. is going to give them anything. I think that's the German chancellor kind of talking out of his ass. But Putin responded to that and said if the EU gives them long-range missiles where they can strike into the heart of Russia, that means the EU is now at war with Russia. So the next step is to see if the EU actually gives them these weapons, and if they do, the war could potentially escalate. And they kind of see Trump pulling out of this right now. So if they were going to do a long-range strike, now's the time to do it, I guess. Mm-hmm. Okay, we can. That's a full update on that.
Okay.
So do you have the next story? It's over 20 years.
Oh, Rafa says, yes, the set looks amazing. Don't encourage him.
Yeah, it looks great.
It looks good, but just leave it this way. It looks good.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it this way.
Things will continue to fall. What's the next story?
Over 20 years, the percentage of seniors. Oh, hold on. We should go to RUM.
But we have
BLE.
other stuff, don't we?
Yeah, but we can just finish over there, I guess.
What time is it? Usually go at 10:30.
It's fine. I'm not going to. No, we're usually off the air by 10:30.
Are we?
Yes.
Oh.
That's why I'm saying go over to RUM BLE now.
Okay, so we're going over to. Oh, hold on.
We're going over to RU and BLE. The
Yes.
next story is a sensitive story, so we'll definitely get censored on YouTube if we talk about it.
Yes, but thank you for being here. Everybody that has commented, Jessica Ramirez, Rafa, we'll see you over at RUMBLE. Same name, not in the guy.
If you
not
haven't
in
liked
English,
it,
just
if
not in
you
the guy.
haven't liked and subscribed, please do so
Yes.
now. And my show tomorrow will be at 2 p.m. Central Time, right here on this channel. It's usually at 12 p.m. Central Time, but we got some things to do.
Yes, get a
Okay.
table to change more stuff around the set. So yeah, we'll see you over there at RUMBLE, and I'm ending the stream now.
Okay.
I should like clap or something so people know when this one ends and the other one starts.